Hello, everyone. Welcome to Caribbean Innovation Ventures. My name is Sonja Salsar, and I'm the founder of Caribbean Innovation Ventures. Today, it is my pleasure to speak with Kendall Quinones, the CEO and founder of Sparkative. Kendall, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Sonia. It's a great pleasure to be here. Great weather over here in Puerto Rico, so thank you for spending the time to talk to me.
Awesome. So, Kendall, tell us about Sparkative. What problem you're trying to solve, etc. Who are your customers?
Well, long story short, think about it this way. You wake up in the morning, you pick up your clothes, you eat your breakfast, you listen to your music, but where's your education? Where's that? So we thought that was a huge problem, and we started thinking about the development of children. Like, how do they get exposed to all this content and standards without actually being a part of it? Curriculum and standards exist way before they were even born. So the whole idea is for education to happen as a consequence of you being in this world, and that's a need that we have identified, and we strongly believe in. Definitely, there's not only a market but a human need for customization of our experience in life. So we want to add education to all of that.
Got it. So give me some concrete example of what Sparkative does. What exactly? Walk me through the day in life of someone who may use your product.
Well, in terms of what we're doing right now, something beautiful that we're doing as a nonprofit organization is that we're combating this whole idea that public schools have to have maybe less access to amazing content, maybe because they just can't pay it, or because there's just this lag between starting the idea of delivering the service and going through the the structure working with government. We are bypassing that by trying to do most of what we do free or low cost. And what we actually do is we go to this school and we make this assessment, just like you would do if you were doing a consulting with a big firm. But we do it with the kids. And then we start assessing their multiple intelligences, learning channels, everything that has to do with how they learn, not how we measure them. And then we design curriculum, activities, standards, and appropriate learning so that they can have an experience that's fundamentally designed for them instead of just there. It's not just for us to measure, it's for us to live with them, for us to understand how they learn, and instead of teaching them how they learn, try to teach them to modulate everything that we're trying for them to learn.
Got it. So tell us about your background, what prepared you to start this company, etc. Why do you start it?
Well, that's one of those beautiful stories. I'll try to make it as short as possible. As a young mind, I was just very good at this whole school thing. That was like my good thing. I was obviously very bad at other things like keeping my room clean and all these other little things. But I was good at school, and I thought for a long time that that was it. Everything that I had to do as a child, my responsibility was to get good grades. So I graduated high school very early. I left high school right at 16 years old, and I started. I was in almost third year of college by the time I was 17, because I was just sprinting through all of this. So you would call me, one of those very applied. We call them, the awesome nerds that they just love school and everything's great. But what happens then? I realized when I make it to college that the people that are there with me maybe have 4 or 5 years more than me, and they have all these other skills that I just don't have. So I might be good at math, and I'm taking calculus 2 with all these 24-year-olds. But they have a social life. They have an understanding of relationship with people. They have skill sets that I didn't develop. So at that point, I realized that I needed to get that, and I decided I wasn't going to get it here. There was just no one for. Went to the United States Navy for 4 or 5 years, and then I became a cryptologist. I started doing information warfare and all this stuff for the Navy, and I learned how to manipulate and design information that has to do with humans, people. You and I can be talking about dogs and cats, and people can be thinking that we're talking about animals, but in reality, we might be talking about our friends in common and how they argue or something like that. That's human content, right? Human context. So that's what I do. I decipher that. So after I finished the military, I studied for a long time mathematics and all this contents of how do you find this information. And I brought that back to Puerto Rico. And long story short, I made it to education and I fell in love with it. And as I was going through the experience, I saw that how we teach children just doesn't seem to be based on this principle. It's based on the idea that they just have to learn this content instead of the context. So I designed a system, or we could call it a methodology, that would allow them to learn the way they learn and to modulate the world towards their learning. So that's how Sparkative started. And from there, we've been alive for 3.5 years, almost 4. And we're doing great. It's something that's just been growing. And it's very strange for a nonprofit in education to grow the way we're growing. So I'm not only excited, but I'm very happy and proud to be part of something like this.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about your team. How many people are on your staff? Just a little bit. And how do you motivate them as a leader, etc.?
Well, something that we do over here in Puerto Rico is that we try our best to think about this. Maybe the words shouldn't be this, but we don't think about it as just entrepreneurs. We think about this as a little bit of a mafia and a little bit of as a lot of great friends, right? So you mix those together and you get this strong beliefs in taking care of each other. You say, I'm not feeling very well, then we don't leave it there. Do you need meds? Can we take you to the doctor? How can we help you? And we just do everything that we can to support each other, not only as a family, but as people that have to be somehow related to bring something so beautiful to life. And as friends, we tell each other the truth 100% of the time. If somebody just doesn't want to go to work today because they want to go to this football game, that's what they want to do. They just tell me. They just tell me, I really want to do this. And all I ask is at least 24 hours notice. And, this is flex time. You do what you have to do. We make our dates, and we just, as long as our client, as the person that needs the service, feels that we did not betray them in giving them our very best, that shouldn't be a problem. So we don't say that we're sick when we're not. We don't think about it in any of that way. And we feel that that's something that we just have to have. In terms of motivation, I try my best to tell people not only to have fun, but to be honest when you're not having it. If there's something that we're doing that you're not okay with, everybody here is a director. There's 10 of us, including myself, and other than the seat structure, everybody is a director. Why? Because our model includes subcontracting the people that will give the direct services. So everybody's a director of something. We have a director of compliance, a director of administration, director of projects, and director of stuff like that. So people feel that we are extremely flat. They feel that they're able to communicate their needs. They feel important. They feel valuable. At the same time, they know where their powers end, and why they have to end. Why does there have to be somebody else to take care of this? I think it all makes sense to them instead of just being like so. We really believe in that. So I think that's some other way. In terms of subcontracts, we've had up to like 45, 50 people at the same time subcontracting different projects. But we are scaling towards much more. In terms of human capital, we invest a lot of our people. We pay our teachers more than 2.5 times the norm in Puerto Rico because we believe teachers should make what an engineer makes every day, all the time. And we make the sacrifice to make that happen. But that's why our projects are so amazing, because people don't have to think about, am I going to be able to pay my car? Am I going to be able to, get the groceries? They think about his children 24/7. So we give people the same concept of having a great lifestyle mixed with focus on what we're doing, because not only because you're getting paid for it, but because it is important enough for us to pay you what you deserve. So I think that it's a way to be transparent, and people care, and they don't necessarily have to be pushed to doing the work, instead of coming whenever they want to and doing everything that they can for the project to be successful.
I like that. That's great. So how are you growing and scaling your business, and what's your vision for the future?
Well, that is something that we struggled a little bit in the very first years, and that's a very interesting part of our story. At the very first part of our business, when we're thinking about education, we get this challenge about that has to do with we just don't want to sell. We don't want to sell education. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't feel right. That's not what we want to do. We want to be able to give it to you. So as we're growing and people are asking for more of what we do, because we started with the first very first project that we did was a summer camp. We did a summer camp for a school. It was huge. After the summer camp, everybody fell in love with what we were doing. So they wanted more. They wanted direct services. They wanted online services and all these things. And we start thinking, we just can't charge people. It's not in our DNA. And then we figured out that if we didn't do that, we couldn't continue giving. It was just illogical. It made no sense because we are not necessarily founded in the idea of getting money from people just to execute. We wanted to build ourselves beyond fundraising, beyond donations. We wanted to be sustainable, but we were making no sense. You're making no money out of the services that you give, and then you're not really interested in growing that donation side of your business. So how do you grow? And then we found ideas like Sapo's idea, like give sustainably. And then we started talking about how do you grow that into a better mindset. So we started saying, give until you can't give anymore. But at the same time, that point where you can't give anymore has to be the very baseline of operations. You have to continue the base of operations. You cannot stop what we're trying to do and grow, but we're always giving. So it is sustainable, but at the same time, it's focused on always thinking about how can we take it to someone else, to one more person. So instead of just sustainable, we're trying to scale it as we give. How do we scale it right now? In terms of manpower, it's hard because we've been working everything with the kids. We go to the schools, we hire people, so it's very linear, right? What we're doing now is that everything that we've done up to this point, we're keeping that data, and that's what we value a lot, the information and technology that allows us to do that. And from then, we've been able to think about scaling it into online services or creating technologies that would allow us to get our methodology out of Puerto Rico as an exported service. And that started making sense to our clients outside of Puerto Rico. That's sort of where we're headed now. And in Puerto Rico, we've been very successful with working with the schools, but it's something that we believe that we have to grow out of slowly. Not necessarily stop doing it, but it has to be one of our lines of service. In Lean Startup, you will say we build it, we measured it enough, and we learned that we can't stay there. We just can't stay on work that happens in the school. It has to happen, but we have to grow into something more accessible and more viable for clients that still need it out of Puerto Rico. So that has been a great learning for us. It doesn't stop us from doing what we love, and it makes a lot of sense with our mission. You know, we just want every single child to be able to experience how they learn. So the more we can scale it and the more accessible it is, the better for us.
So you just won an award.
Yes, I did. So there's this huge conference in Puerto Rico. It was called the H3 conference that happened this last weekend. And we got this award here. I'm going to get a little moment of a little show it off a little bit. So I'm very proud of this because this is the H3 conference, which is the Hackers, Hipsters, and Hustlers conference. It's just this beautiful brand that they created in Puerto Rico in order to be able to recognize our community. And we got Mentors of the Year, which is something that is extremely valuable for us, being the first time that this award is given. What that entails is that we are everywhere. We go to every event. We take care of any organization, not only schools, but we work with businesses. We work with startups that are just coming up. We work with corporations that are way bigger than us. We do everything we can in order to help people understand that it's not about education, it's about learning. So every person does this. Every person learns. So even if we're talking to a bank, which we work with some of them and try to help them, understand how their clients learn. Maybe that's one of the sides of what we're going to grow into. Or a school just trying to make sure not only that their kids learn, but that parents understand the mission of the school and how we're trying to make it something bigger than just learning. So that's sort of what we're doing, and being involved with so many entrepreneurs. We're in many programs here in Puerto Rico, Founders Institute, which is a beautiful thing that's happening here. Startup Weekend, we have it over here. A lot of hackathons that we participate on, even though we don't necessarily go into the tech side, we go into value proposition and who are you going to change? What life are you going to change, and is that valuable? So I guess being everywhere and talking to everybody has, a lot of value, and we got recognized for that. Obviously, it wasn't my job by myself. My whole team gives me an opportunity to do what I love, which is helping people. So that has gotten us places.
Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
So what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur such as yourself, or an individual in the Caribbean who wants to become an entrepreneur?
The first thing I would say is I have this personal quote that I'm still trying to refine. I'm going to get it perfect by the time, I have to say it in, somewhere else. But the logic is customer service. I think that everything that you do has to do with service. You have to do with passion. So the quote has to do with customer service is the process that takes you from your client's frontal lobe to their deep memory, right? You don't want to be a short-term memory. You want to be something that links to their passions and their desires and the way that they see life. So the way I see it, and I drive it, and I have my idea of how business should grow in terms of organic growth for businesses, and I call it the eye of the storm. Is a methodology, very simple methodology that has to do with three line items that have to do with success in regards to ventures. We believe that you have to, in order to create a product that is going to be valuable for clients, you need to have importance, innovation, and in terms of scale, you need to be able to give them the idea of acceptance. They need to think that you're not just creating something because they're going to buy it. You're creating something because not only is there a need, but they are your client. They matter. They matter more than their problems. So they might grow into other problems, and maybe you can still help them. So that allows you to grow. That's what we're doing in terms of being just in schools to going into tech. So the whole idea is people love experiences, but experiences are not enough. You want to jump from the experience to their memory, right? And even though those are linked, in the middle of that, there's a story. So you give people a great experience, you don't necessarily become a great memory. You might become one, but you don't want to give that a chance. So you have to give them a great story. That's the way. If people can tell you how to better your product, if people can tell you how to mold it for next time, or if they can be part of the process of your design, they feel invested. And that would be my most important advice for anybody that's starting up. If you do anything, and if you do it with the idea that people matter, their opinion matters, and it's extremely important. If you value it, even if you don't apply it, people might tell you, I want you to build a school. And that might not be the pain. The pain might be, I am not happy with the way my school handles the learning of my child. So maybe you don't need to build a school. Maybe you need to solve that other pain. We're not saying just take it literal, but let people be part of your story. Don't just give them surveys. Literally ask them, sit them down, show them your demos, be with them, and let them sign it. That's what I'm trying to say. Just let them be part of that. And if you can even include them in some way, crowdfunding is good for that. It allows you to get people involved. Or if you can do a fundraiser, even if you are not really raising anything, you're just there to show them your venture and that they were there, and just write their name and have it on your website. That's important. And we're getting there too. But everything that we've done with people, not only with our team. I think that gives you a lot of scale. You learn a lot without having to do focus groups and all of that. You just go directly to the person and tell them, last time you saw something related to your child's education, what was your experience? Make that experience into a story. You'll have clients forever.
Great advice. And before I ask my final question, is there anything you would like to say about Sparkative? Anything?
Well, I really think that something that we're doing that helped us get to the point that we are right now, which I believe we're on a beeline towards success in regards to what I see success like. A lot of my team might think we're already doing this, everything's great, or we're scaling. For me, there's steps, right? So I am at a point where I'm really happy with what's happening, but my vision of the company is so much bigger than that. and how I try to manage it, which is one of the biggest challenges for an entrepreneur, right? Managing what you see versus what other people see and what other people want. What I do is that I think about it like I tell people I am already there. I saw this happen, and I am just taking you there. I am walking back in time, and I am grabbing your hand, and I am taking you towards this beautiful place. So that's why you should trust me, not because I am telling you to. Trust me because I have seen it. Trust me because it makes sense, and I am not telling you to go there. I am walking with you. So wherever you go, I'm going to go too. Whenever I go, you're going to go too. If I leave you in the process, that means that world that I'm seeing doesn't make any sense because I see you there. So give me a chance to prove it to you. I think that translates into be very clear with what you're trying to make people fall in love with. Don't make them fall in love with an idea of what you're doing. Make them fall in love with a clear concept. I'm trying to make the world a place where every single school is the best place to be. It's better than Disney. It's a place where everybody wants to be. Family, teachers, everybody wants to be there. It's better than any party you could ever imagine. That's my dream. So am I going in a straight line towards that? In my mind, yes. If you were to make a business plan out of it, you wouldn't see it. Because steps don't necessarily can be put in a canvas always. But you can definitely cut your dream into pieces and feed it to people slowly. Show them we're going to get to this point, and you're going to see it with me. When you get there, be a child, and go to the idea of telling them, "I told you so." See how beautiful it is? Be a child for a moment. Last but not least, one of the things that I talk a lot in Eye of the Storm is don't try to be the unstoppable force. Try to be the immovable object. Try to be that startup that resists the idea of constant, senseless change. It's not that you can't pivot. It's not that you can't drive your idea towards optimizing it. That's perfect. But find a clear pain, and do everything you can to get the people that have that pain have a better life. Maybe you don't even solve that problem. Maybe what you solve is something else. But the people that have that problem, which you fell in love to, not with the problem, but the idea of solving it, that's the people you need to help. So focus on that. Don't try to just chase people down. Don't try to show everybody your product right in their face. Try to get champions. Get people to fall in love with what you do. And I think it's an easier challenge than people make it. It's the best job in the world to be an entrepreneur. So if you're with me, don't give up. It gets better, and the challenges are so much easier to deal with if you talk to people. So hopefully my contact information will be available to you. You can call me or text me or write me at any time, and we're always here to help 24/7. So feel free.
Awesome. Thanks. Great advice again. So finally, what's your favorite Caribbean food?
That's a great question. As I think everybody's going to tell you, it's a hard question, and it took me some time to figure it out when you first asked it. I have to say rice and beans. It's just amazing. It's one of those things that you can mix with anything, and I think that's why I like it. It's something that it's never the same, right? Everybody makes it different, but it's always good. And at the same time, something about rice and beans that's important is that the process, at least here in Puerto Rico, it tends to be something that's familiar. Like people would teach, families would teach their kids to make this, before they teach them how to fry an egg. We show each other this because it's just something so cultural, something so basic that anybody can do. So it has to do a lot with my mindset. There are two different things that put together, they're amazing. But at the same time, they take specific processes to do right. And if you just don't do it right, it's hard to be a Puerto Rican and don't know how they taste. So it has to do with your identity, but it has to do with building culture, about caring, and about being there. Because if you don't stay there with your rice, you have to do it in a cooker, and that's cheating. So you have to be honest. You have to follow the idea of the result. I mean, I think it's almost like starting a startup. So I respect it a lot.
Awesome. Well, the next time I'm in Puerto Rico, I want to make sure that you take me to your favorite place, or if you cook it, I want to taste it.
I'll try my best. Mine is not that great, but I do my very best, and I really appreciate the dish. So I think we'll find somewhere to go that they do it up to our standards, and we'll enjoy it both.
Great. Well, Kendall, I want to thank you again for sharing your story with Caribbean Innovation Venture. We really appreciate you being here. To my Caribbean audience, I want to remind you to reach for the sky, because if you fall, you'll fall in coconut trees. But if you reach for coconut trees, you will fall on the ground. Thank you.